In August, mold was found in 32 of the 36 Alamance-Burlington school system schools, prompting an expensive cleanup and delaying the school year 2 weeks. Of the schools that tested positive, toxigenic mold was identified in 16 of them. Months later, the school system is still lacking the resources to implement measures to prevent the mold from returning. 30 Minutes spoke with parents of students who attend ABSS schools and officials from the school system about how mold issues have left Alamance County without reserve funds or ability to fix major development issues.
Welcome to school!
As 4-year-old Colton and 6-year-old Riley Whitaker prepared for school this year, their parents sat them down to discuss new teachers, new lessons, and maybe the most important change, mold.
Do you remember when we talked about the mold?
Yeah.
What did we say?
It was nasty.
It was nasty.
The two Whitaker children are among over 23,000 students in the Alamance-Burlington school system, who quickly had to learn about mold in August. When mold was found in one ABSS school in July, Superintendent Dane Butler called for air quality testing in all 36 schools. The tests revealed 32 schools had allergenic mold growth, and half of those schools had toxigenic mold growth. Parents Brandy and William Whitaker face the tough reality that they may have to send their children into environments that could make them sick. Riley attends a school where toxigenic mold was found, and Colton is immunocompromised, which means the allergenic mold found at his school could affect him more than other students.
Do you remember we talked about since you had medical stuff that it could make you really sick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The biggest concern for me was, well, if he's in a situation where he's already immunocompromised and he's going to have to, his lungs are going to have to work overtime, his pulmonary system's going to have to work overtime just because of the medication that he's on, at what cost do we have to weigh out whether it's comfortable for us to put him in that setting or not?
With the district scrambling to clean mold from most of its facilities, the first day of school was delayed twice until schools were cleared for students to come back, 2 weeks after the scheduled start date. ABSS spent nearly $21 million on testing, mold remediation, HVAC cleaning, and more, just to be able to open the schools. But the work isn't done, and now, funding is scarce. Representatives from the company that cleaned the schools told Alamance County commissioners that the school's conditions are likely to cause future mold growth if problems aren't addressed soon. These issues mainly are with roofing and HVAC systems. ABSS Public Information Officer Les Atkins says a huge part of the problem is that in Alamance County, the school district has no taxing authority and cannot raise any of its own funds. For the initial remediation, county commissioners took money already earmarked for ABSS use from its capital reserves.
Basically, what the county commissioners did was they did not give us necessarily any new money. They just said, take all of that funding that you have, which we were gracious for, and they've been very cooperative with us all along the way in these joint meetings that we've had. They said, take that money and use it for mold right now, and then come back to us and we'll figure out a plan afterwards. So that's sort of where we are right now, in that we need $3 million for the reinstatement of our repurposed funds for our PAYGO. And then we have a total request really to the county commissioners for about $9 million to replace some of those funds.
County commissioners asked the school district to prepare a plan for preventative measures going forward. In September, Superintendent Butler presented the proposal. It asked for an estimated $45 million per year for the next 5 years to hire new maintenance workers, upgrade HVAC systems, and fix roofing issues across the district. That would be about 18% of the funding for the entire county.
At this point, we're sort of paralyzed in our ability really to move forward, because unless the county commissioners see fit to give us more money.
Atkins says he believes the mold crisis was ultimately the result of years of Band-Aid solutions that finally built up.
I think what we had here was a business problem. This is years and years and years of underfunding for certain projects, and then all of a sudden you realize that there's an explosion, if you will. There is indeed a crisis, and that's what we were in the middle of this summer for Alamance-Burlington schools. We had a definite crisis going on, and it really was the result, like you said, of many years of underfunding, many years of things, just small things turned into big things.
Months later, ABSS's rainy day fund is continuing to dwindle. According to Atkins, ABSS only has $102,000 in savings as of November 30th. In late November, ABSS announced it had reached a critical point with funding. Atkins says the school district has over 3 million square feet of building space across all 36 schools. Whitaker and Atkins both pointed out that the public school buildings are not owned by ABSS. They are technically owned by the county.
What we didn't see was the county itself placing funds into the school system. So at what point does the county take responsibility and fund some of these projects?
Even Atkins' own office in ABSS Central Services is currently being renovated due to mold growth that was found over the summer. He walked us through the rooms where mold was found. Atkins says the school board is working with the county commissioners to help find solutions to fill in the gaps in funding.
One option that's been talked about locally is a quarter-cent sales tax increase, which would generate, upwards of $7 to $9 million for the school district, and perhaps it would be earmarked specifically to us each year, and that is a possibility. So to where it would not be on the burden, it would not be on the backs of the taxpayer, so to speak, but all those people who travel up and down the interstate every day.
School board member Seneca Rogers says though he agrees it's on the county commissioners to provide funding for the schools, he also believes it's on the state to provide emergency funding.
Our state has underfunded schools for years, and there's even been litigation around the underfunding of our schools. So I think one thing they're going to have to do is continue to be advocates and press our state legislator to do their job and abide by the state constitution that says that our kids are supposed to be provided a sound basic education.
But Atkins says the state will only provide funding for teachers.
Are there any emergency situations in which you can request from the state anything?
Not really. It's all upon the county commissioners at this point, and we're at their mercy, and we've said that many times before.
Mm-hmm. Do you see any situation in which the county commissioners would go to the General Assembly or something like that?
I mean, that's certainly on them, and they could certainly do that.
Wherever the funding comes from, it has to come quick, without fixing the issues that caused the mold in the first place. Experts say it's not a question of if the mold will return, but when.
If this isn't addressed, do you see potentially a cycle of spending on this remediation and then going forward and then remediating again and then going forward and causing this kind of ripple effect?
Let's hope we're not there again. I think we know what some of our issues are. Obviously, North Carolina has fluctuating temperatures, and we have humidity issues. And one of the things that we've looked at doing is tab testing. So that means testing and balancing of our air systems.
But while ABSS struggles to scrounge up the money, the district now faces another issue. Students and parents have lost trust in the system. As the mold was being discovered, Atkins says the district tried its best to communicate what was going on with parents and the media.
We communicated every step of the way, the good, like our superintendent says, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And we wanted to communicate that with our families and to continue to build trust with them, because obviously this is a concern that we all have.
Despite ABSS's efforts, Whitaker says she's unsure whether she can trust the school system going forward.
We as parents have lost all faith that anybody is being truthful. And it's this, a really uneasy feeling moving forward as, okay, what happens if it comes back? Are they going to tell us?
Whitaker says one thing that would help parents and students trust the district is continued air quality testing to ensure the mold isn't returning. But Atkins says it's not that simple.
Some of the parents that we've spoken to have said, what if the mold comes back? How will they know? Is there testing happening now that the remediation has ended?
Well, obviously, now that we're into the winter months, mold is not quite an issue because we have the heat going in the schools.
Sure.
But we have purchased dehumidifiers that are in all of our schools. We decided to purchase those so that we could put those in the areas that we know where we had issues. And yes, we plan to go back and look at those facilities once we get into spring.
Mm-hmm, sure. And so do you think that could be, at least until the preventative measures are able to be funded, a regular testing?
I'm not quite sure about that at this point. That's one of the things that we presented to the county commissioners, because obviously that would require money, and that's what we need at this point.
The past couple of years have been unstable for current students because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Rogers says some students have expressed concerns and frustrations that the mold crisis has added to that instability.
They feel like school is rushed. It's like everything is in a catch up. And they, even at times they say like they can feel overwhelmed, but they don't even know if they have a moment to even feel overwhelmed because they got to get to the next thing.
Whitaker says that the instability is a big factor, even for younger children like Colton.
We've waited years to put him in a setting where he can thrive in a really structured system. And we had to wait because schools didn't open on time. You know, you have the emotional balance with kids, especially 4-year-olds, because they don't wait a lot of times.
Parents and community members say they are looking for the school system to take responsibility for letting mold build up over time.
A big thing also is to just let the parents know, let the kids know that you're sorry about what happened and how it went on and the delays that it caused and the issues that it might have caused for the beginning of the school year, but also reiterating to them that going forward, we're making sure we're doing everything possible to not see this happen again.
Most importantly, they're looking for the district to make the upgrades the schools need.
Without addressing those, it's just going to continue to spread, and it's all going to come back, and we're going to do this again next year.